Welcome to the podcast about investing in startups, where existing investors can learn how to get the best deal possible. And those that have never before invested in startups can learn the keys to success from the venture experts. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome to another special release of Investor Stories. On this installment, the experts discuss a startup that they did not invest in, why they passed, and if there was a key learning that now informs their approach. Here's the segment called Why I Passed. On today's special segment, we have Michael Cardamone of Acceleprise. Michael, can you tell us about a good or a bad pass, a story about a startup that you passed on?
This is one that, I guess it's too early to tell, and it's as an angel investor. But Ryan, the CEO of Flexport, told me about Lambda School when they were in YC, and I went to the demo day, and I ended up meeting them. Although I didn't meet Austin, I met the other founders, literally talked to them for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and they were like, it was a hot company in that batch. Like, we need an answer in a week. And in my mind, it was like a unique model, and I'm obsessed with ISAs, and I'm an angel investor in another company in that space. But to win, it was just like an execution game in my mind. Like, they just had to build the best kind of boot camp in order for it to be successful. And it was at like a pretty high valuation, not surprisingly, because it was a hot company at YC. But yeah, ended up passing on it. I felt like I didn't have enough information, and I didn't spend enough time talking to them. I felt like there was too much risk of like they had to execute flawlessly. But now 2 years later, it feels like they have, or at least Austin is just incredible at the hype machine on Twitter. But I think they've also executed phenomenally well, and certainly regret passing on that one.
On today's special segment, we have Jenny Rooke of Genoa Ventures. Jenny, can you tell us about a good or a bad pass, a story about a startup that you passed on?
I think the answer to passing is keeping in mind that most answers are going to be a pass. And so I think of the pass decision, to the extent this is helpful to startups who are out there pitching, as nowhere near as consequential, of course, to the VC as it is to the startup. So we may not even have much of an answer on why we passed. We just couldn't get there that week and had to move on to something else. So, so many of them are of that nature. I think it's really flipping that and saying, which are the ones where we had a good connection with the team, we get the vision, and we're going to dig in and try to get there.
Are there any that feel like, the one that got away at this point?
There are certainly exciting deals out there getting done that we're not necessarily in, but that's actually a good sign. Like, if we were doing all of the interesting deals in our space, then our space would be too small to support a venture firm, which is actually one of the questions I get. And I would say, a decade ago, I could have done all of the deals of interest in our space, but that's no longer true, because now there are literally orders of magnitude more opportunities. So sure, there's more and more that we're excited about seeing out there and we're not in, and that's actually great.
On today's special segment, we have Scott Dorsey of High Alpha. Scott, can you tell us about a good or a bad pass, a story about a startup that you passed on?
That's a good question. I would say our passes, Nick, are often about the team. We're such early investors that, certainly we're analyzing momentum, traction, market, but a lot of it is people-based and relationship-based. And if I look back on the success we had at ExactTarget, it was really all about culture and people and alignment with our values, and getting really well-intentioned people working hard together. And I think much of the calculus that we bring into the investing world is the same, that we're looking for entrepreneurs and founders that we think will work well together. We feel like we've got strong value alignment with, and they're building cultures that we think are going to stand the test of time and be winners. So a lot of the, I'd say, passes we've taken on companies that are still doing well, it was maybe just not feeling like we had the right culture fit or the right value fit or just the right belief in the CEO or the co-founders.
Is there one factor or one characteristic that stands out to you either in the teams that you do choose or the teams that you pass on?
I think probably maybe combination of characteristics we look for are, kind of confident humility. I've been a big fan of Good to Great and everything that Jim Collins writes, and the idea of level 5 leadership around having this blend of humility coupled with tremendous determination and will. That's the combination that we look for is, CEOs and co-founding teams and leadership teams that have extraordinary conviction around what they're building and the passion and experience to pull it off, but also go about it in a way that brings humility. And they're going to build an amazing team and work well with other people.
That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.